Hello everyone, Nagraj here. In this video, let us go through the Australian property market performance in the month of August 2023. Sydney, we can see that the month on month growth for Sydney is 1.1% in the month of August. Melbourne had a growth of 0.6%. Brisbane had a positive growth of 1.6%. Adelaide 1.1%. Perth has grown by 0.9%. Darwin had a very little growth of 0.1%. Canberra had a growth of 0.4%. Hobart had a growth of 0.2%. So this data is just for the houses. I have not considered the data for the units. That's why this chart is named as Australian residential market price movement for houses in August 2023. And we can also see year on year growth here. Sydney had a growth of 1.3%. Melbourne had a negative growth of minus 2.9%. Brisbane had a negative growth of 4.2%. Adelaide and Perth had positive growth. And definitely we can see that the Perth is the leading market. Perth is the leading market in the nation with a 4.7% growth annually. And Darwin had a negative growth, Canberra had negative growth, and Hobart is the worst performing market because we can see minus 9.9% growth, annual growth. Yeah, yeah. This graph is showing the rolling 3-month change in dwelling values across the state capitals. We can see the Brisbane from past 3 months. Brisbane is leading with 4.2%. Sydney had 3.8% growth. Adelaide had 3.4%. Perth had 2.9%, and Melbourne had 1.6%. Again, this shows the monthly change in values, which is a visual representation of the data compared to what we saw earlier, right? So we can see that the Victoria had a negative growth of around minus 0.6. We are talking about the regional Victoria here, because the rest of the Victoria has still done well. Only the regional Victoria is only the prices in regional Victoria are falling, and also we can see that the regional NSW has also recorded negative growth in the month of August. And yeah, Tasmania had little negative growth, and this chart considers data for both houses and units. That's why Tasmania is shown in a negative here. Yeah, Queensland, both regional and capitals have done very well. South Australia is doing very well. The actual Perth Metro is doing really well, and there's a positive price growth in regional WA as well, but it's not much. Yeah, not bad, because except regional NSW and regional Victoria and Tasmania, most of the nation is doing good. That's good to see. And this is the quarterly change. Again, in the last quarter, regional Victoria had negative growth, and Tasmania, both regional and capitals, had negative growth. And apart from regional Victoria and Tasmania, we can see that all other regions and capitals have done very well in the last quarter. And this graph shows the annual change. And as we all know, the property market was not doing that well in 2022, in last 12 months, because of various factors like high interest rates. It's basically because of high interest rates. People are not able to borrow much these days. So because of that, we had a very very bad year 2022. But still, you can see from this chart, whoever invested in South Australia or whoever invested in Western Australia, they did very well, right? The regional South Australia has done very well in last 1 year. The capital South Australia, which is basically Adelaide, not bad. But we can see that Perth is leading the nation. So Perth had a very good around 4% growth, uh, 4% growth in the last 1 year, and regional Western Australia has also done very good. Yeah, that's about it. And yeah, so this graph shows the um, rolling 28-day count of new listings. So we can see that the new listings are rising from past couple of months. Maybe because people are starting to feel the pain of high interest rates, and few people might be selling down, especially investors. So that might be causing this spike in the new listings. And we can clearly see that the new listing trend is higher than the long term average, and also it is slightly higher than the listings that we saw in 2022 as well. So this is definitely concerning. If the trend continues, then yeah, that might have a negative impact on the price growth. But also there are few things which will still keep the prices rising, because we're not building we're not building a lot of houses these days, right? Because of high interest rates, not many investors are showing interest, and they're not able to borrow much. So the new supply coming into the market, when I say new supply, I'm talking about new dwellings which are getting built. We're not building many new dwellings these days, and that might still try to balance out the supply issues. So yeah, let's see how it goes. And if you look at this graph, even though we saw that the short term new listings trend is spiking up, this graph is showing the total listings. This is not the new listings. This is the total listings. We have around 77,385 total listings as of August 2023. And if you can see, it clearly shows the current total listing count is very less than what we saw in 2022 levels, and also it is far below the long-term average as well, right? So because of this, even though the short-term new listings are increasing, when we compare to the long-term trend and also 2022 levels, the listings are even the listings are below what we saw in 2022, and this might be the reason why, even though the listings are increasing, we still saw positive price growth in last 3 months, right? So that might be one of the reasons, because the listings are still below the 2022 levels and the long-term averages. Yeah, and this chart shows the rental vacancy rate. We can see from the chart that the combined capitals has a rental vacancy rate of 1.1%, which is very low, and even the combined regions has the rental vacancy rate of 1.4%. So definitely, both regions and both combined capitals have very low rental vacancy rate, because yeah, the rental vacancy rate is very low. 1.1% and 1.4% is really very low. So yeah, so this is the annual change in rents. When we are having such a low rental vacancy rates, that will definitely show up in the rents, right? So when people are competing for the fewer rental properties available in the market, that will definitely put up the rents. So people will go into rent auction or rent bidding, and that will push up the rents, and that we can clearly see in the charts. So Perth had 13.3% rental growth. Melbourne had a very steep rental growth of 11.9%. Sydney, it had 8.8%, but the trend is coming down. The rents are still rising, but the rate at which the rents are rising is coming down for Sydney. And even Adelaide had a 7.8% rental growth in the last 1 year, but the rate of growth is coming down. It's still high, 7.8% is still high, but the rate of growth is slowing down in Sydney and Adelaide. Even in Brisbane, the rate of rental growth is slowing down. Even in Brisbane, it had around 6.9% growth still, and Darwin had a rental growth of 1.6%, and Hobart, the rents were coming down in Hobart. Currently, there is around minus 0.5% rental decrease in Hobart, and in Canberra, the rents went down by minus 4.2%. Yeah, and this chart is showing the rental data for the units, and again, Sydney, the unit rents for units in Sydney have grown by 16.7%. That's a lot. Perth 16.4% growth. Brisbane, Melbourne, everywhere we are seeing double-digit rental growth, and that's what will happen when the rental vacancy rates are so low, right? So when there are no enough properties for rent, rents will obviously go up. All right. Yeah, this chart is showing the median values of property prices in our major capital cities. So in Sydney, you can buy a property. The median property value in Sydney is just over a million. In Melbourne, the median property value is 768K. In Brisbane, you can get a property for 746. Yeah, this is a median value. And the median property value in Adelaide is 682K. Median property value in Perth is 607K, and Hobart 657K, Darwin 496K, Canberra 830K. This chart shows the median value for properties in our regions. The median property value in regional NSW is 700K. Regional property value in Victoria is 561K. The median property value in regional Queensland is 577K, and the median dwelling value in regional South Australia is 385K. The regional South Australia had a very good growth in 2022 in the last 12 months, because we can see you can still buy a very good property in regional South Australia for under 400K, and maybe affordability might be one of the main reasons why prices in region Australia are growing so sharply, right? Even in regional Western Australia, you can still buy a property for under 500, and regional Tasmania has a median value of 505K. Yeah, this is the summary of whatever we discussed so far. This is the monthly growth, quarterly growth, annual growth, and median values. Yeah, this is the inflation chart. So this is the inflation data. This is the monthly CPI indicator. As of end of July, we currently have a CPI of around 4.9%. As you can see, the inflation peaked in December 2022, and we had around 8% or 8.1% inflation in December 2022, and we can see that the trend is clearly going down, and the inflation is currently at 4.9%. The target inflation rate for RBA is around 2 to 3%, while the monthly CPI indicator is well above the target of 2 to 3%. It is trending down, right? And it is trending down very, very sharply. So RBA might not increase the interest rates this month, because the inflation data is clearly coming down, right? That's about the Australian property market performance in the month of August 2023. Yeah, see you in the next video. Until then, take care and have a nice day.